Hi everyone, are you able to hear me and see my screen clearly? All right, so great to have all of you in the session. Welcome to the course on Python for machine learning. Great. I hope everyone is able to see me as see my screen and hear me clearly. Great, great. All right. So let me set up my screen and then we will be good to go. All right, so great to have all of you in the session. Today we have right now 68 viewers, and there'll be going to be more viewers by the end of it. All right, so great. All right, so in this session we will get started with Python, and we will also learn basics of Python. It's a 3-hour session. First 1.5 hours we are going to discuss Python in from the installation and setup perspective, and then we'll do a deep dive into Python. We'll have a 10 minutes break in the midway. Everyone is muted except for me, and you can ask your questions using the YouTube chat. All right, all right, great to have all of you in the session. Let's get started. All right. This one, hi Michael. This is a live session, and I'll be able to answer your questions while I'm taking you through the Python course. All right. And great. Yes, it has been started, Maria. All right. Great. Wonderful. So, all right. So before we start with the session, let me give a brief introduction about CloudxLab. We at CloudxLab are making learning fun and for life. And how are we doing that? Using the live session, videos, or quizzes, hands-on projects, and case studies. All right. All of this based on the real life use cases. The main focus is on learning by doing. That's we have created something called hands-on assessment. Using that, while you are in the lab, you can get your work evaluated very quickly. How it's done is there's a problem statement and there is a hands-on. and afterwards it automatically does the assessment for your work. All right. So, like for in this example, what you see is you have a challenge that hey, you have to log in into CloudxLab, and then it automatically checks whether you have successfully logged in or not. All right. The other example that you may find very relevant is on the right hand side. You see the Jupyter window. Okay, this is the Jupyter window in which you're going to write the code, while on the left hand side you see the question saying define x as 10. Okay, so once you have defined it as x as 10, then it automatically checks and ensures that you have defined x as 10. All right, so this is a very simple example of the assessment, but it proves the capability of the CloudxLab hands-on assessment. So we have created the automated hands-on assessment for Linux, Python, and SQL, so that you can see in the CloudxLab you can sign up and get your work evaluated over there. All right, so it automatically checks whether it whether you have done the problem or not. So that is the idea about hands-on assessment. It basically makes the whole learning fun and gamified. At the end of every assessment, it gives you points, that those points generally signify how well you are doing in CloudxLab. The course objective is to learn Python so that you can learn machine learning and deep learning really well. All right. So here we will be going into the common details about Python. Whatever is needed in general in Python will be covered in this course. And the other peripheral courses such as Django will not be covered here. All right. So here the core of Python is what we're going to learn. All right. A brief about me. I'm Sandeep Giri. I did my graduation from IT Roorkee, and then I have largely worked on the large scale computing. I've mostly worked on large scale computing, and I've worked with D. E. Shaw, InMobi, and Amazon in mostly the large scale computing. All right, and at heart, I'm a software engineer and I love explaining technologies, and that's the reason why we created CloudxLab. And at CloudxLab, we are making learning fun. All right. So that was about me. So feel free to introduce yourself using the chat window. We may not be able to read it right now, but we'll be able to read it at a later point of time. All right. So feel free to introduce yourself using the chat window. Great, great. Wonderful to have all of you in the session. So let's get started with the rest of the course. Wonderful to know about your backgrounds. I'm really amazed at the diversity, and we have people from all around. Great, great. Wonderful to have all of you here. All right, great, great. All right, wonderful to know all of you. A question from Subodh is that will the course content for the session will be shared after the class? Yes, of course. Don't worry about the presentations or the videos. We'll be sharing those videos as well as the slides. Also, the live session on YouTube gets recorded by itself. So that is going to be public naturally. All right. And with respect to the presentation and slides, we'll be sharing it with you. All right. So great. Great to have all of you in the session. The first code that we are going to try is 2 plus 3. It's extremely simple code, and this is something which is probably will make you feel that the Python interpreter is nothing but bigger calculator. All right. So the idea is to make learning fun and easy so that everybody can get onboarded quickly. All right. So the first thing is there are two ways to get started with Python. Either you install on your desktop, you follow this blog post, or or you can install on your own blog post. Sorry, you can install on your own machine, or you can follow this blog post on using CloudxLab. That becomes really, really easy for everyone. All right. So once you have okay, so let me just give you this link and also walk you through this. Okay, all right. So first of all, if you are planning to get started with Python, one of the easiest way is to just sign up with CloudxLab. You generally get a lab for free for 7 days, and then you can convert it into paid lab. And 7 days means 24 by 7. All right. So once you have done that, you can click on Jupyter and so on, right? There, let me walk you through it. So once you have signed up with CloudxLab, there in under the My Lab section. So when you go to My Lab, okay, there you will see a login password and so on. These parts are for people who are looking for Hadoop and other things. Jupyter or Web Console is for those who are looking for machine learning. So you can click on Jupyter and it'll open a new tab. Okay. So this is my home directory that Jupyter shows. What is a Jupyter? Jupyter is an environment where you can interact with all all kinds of programming languages from the browser. Along with that, you don't need to haggle with the Linux commands in order to remotely manage your files and folders. All right. So here you can see these are the my folders. For you, these might be empty. And to get started with Python, you can click on New and Python 3. Okay. So this is my, all right. So this is what is known as the Jupyter notebook. Okay. All right. Let me go back here. So what we have done is we have followed this blog post. Okay. We have written it so that everybody can get acquainted with the process of setting up. And once we have done that, once we have signed up with CloudxLab, you can take, click on My Lab and so on. Otherwise, if you are not comfortable at settings using the CloudxLab, you can install you can install Anaconda. That is going to be useful for you on your desktop. Okay, so coming back to it, so all we did was we went to my lab, then clicked on Jupyter, and that opened up this screen. And in case this screen is not available for you, it will show you the login and password, where you can just copy paste this login and password into the login box here. And once you've done that, it'll take you to your home drive. Please note that for you, this is going to be empty, as in you'll not have any folders. Since I've been using Lab for quite some time, my files and folders have gathered here. And most of my work is here so that I can access it from anywhere, whether from wherever I am working. All right. So afterwards, you can click on New. If you are a R programmer, you can do R, but here we are going to talk about Python mostly. All right. So this notebook that you see here is this notebook that you see here is basically a place where you can type your Python code. Now let's do the first code, 2 plus 3, and press Shift Enter. Okay. So you can see that it has immediately given us the result. All right. And as soon as it gives the result, it basically creates another cell so that we can enter anything else. Okay, so that was the simplest example of Python code. All you need to do is type this, type here something, and press Shift Enter. Okay, or you can click on this. Okay, you can see run. That is also possible to get the outcome. All right. Okay. All right. The other way is in case you want to install locally, will be there are many ways to use Python. One of the simplest ways is you go to the console and type Python. All right. The other way is you use a sophisticated environment like Jupyter. The third one is using the IDE like PyCharm. Okay. You are on desktop and you are trying to develop a web application or so, use PyCharm. But for most of the data analytics work, the Jupyter environment is good. Okay, let me just show you how does it look in the console. All right, let me say I open web console here, click on login, and I'm copy pasting the password to the terminal. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste the password here. And here, if you here, then you can simply say Python, and the Python opens up. Okay, Python 3 is not there yet, but we will be having an environment where Python 3 will be available to us. All right, so you can see that here, when you type Python like this, it shows a prompt. And here also, you can simply type 2 plus 3 and you'll get the outcome. All right, I hope I'm going slow because I'm hoping that you all are trying to set up. Okay, all right. So question from Michael is, which of these tools we are going to use? Okay, so which of these tools do we need to install if you're not going to use CloudxLab? All right, my strong suggestion will be Anaconda. Anaconda comes with Jupyter. Anaconda is basically packaging Jupyter in it. And PyCharm will be required in case you are trying to develop a web application or a larger project. And in that case, if you want more efficiency, in that case, you will require PyCharm. But for most of the part, we will be doing interactive computing. Interactive computing like the one that we did just now. We just typed an expression. This is called an expression. We typed some piece of code. This is basically the simplest possible piece of code. And this piece of code, when we quickly ran it. We just said shift enter, and we got the outcome. Okay, we did not have to do any compilation. We did not have to create projects and so on. Everything is just very quick. This is basically the interactive way of computing. Okay, so this is really user friendly, and that's why we want to go this way, because that'll not kill your enthusiasm. It'll basically very welcoming to get things rolling on day zero. Okay, and that's why I strongly recommend using Python with Jupyter in the beginning, so that you become more and more comfortable, because this kind of console may not be comfortable for you, but this will definitely be. All right, so also it gives you instant answers, so that's going to keep you what do you say, keep you engaged. And that's the best way to learn is by trying yourself. And for that, this environment is very good. All right, good question. Moving ahead now, the second part is you can install the Anaconda. Okay, for those who are on Windows, they can. All right, you can go to Anaconda, their website. I'll just copy paste the URL into chat so that you can go directly. And afterwards, you can just click on downloads. Okay, select your operating system, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux. Okay, let's say you are on Windows, you can go here. You can download the Python 3 version, not the Python 2 version. Okay, this Python 3 version, because we're going to use Python 3 mostly. Okay, a question from Robin is, if shift enter is to add a line, how do we delete a line? Okay, good question. Good question. I'll give you a little bit more brief here. Is everybody with me, so that I can quickly walk you through the shortcuts here? Okay. And first of all, there are keyboard shortcuts here under help. So you see all of these commands. Okay. So this Jupyter notebook is very friendly, because you can do everything with the keyboard without having to use any mouse or touch screen. You can simply use the keyboard. All right. Now, to make that happen, Jupyter has two modes. One is called command mode, and other is called editing or coding mode. Okay, so like for example, right now we are in a coding mode. You see the cursor. Okay, when there is a cursor, that means you are in a coding mode. You can see this is a coding mode. When you press escape, then you are in command mode. All right. Now, when you are in command mode, you can press, let's say, X to delete a cell. This is for deleting a cell. For adding a cell after the current line, you can press before the current line, above the current line, you can press A. For adding below the current line, you can say B. Okay. So this is how it works. So you can, and to get back to the editing mode, you can simply press enter and the cursor comes back. Okay. So yeah, you can see. All right. So it's quite simple. And so press escape to get into the command mode. Press enter to get into the editing mode. In the editing mode, you can write any code and press shift enter and it'll work. In case you want to, let's say, you want to delete a particular cell, you can press escape in the command mode. Right now I'm in the command mode. So I pressed X, it got deleted. I pressed A to add a cell above the current context. And I pressed B to add a cell below the current context. Okay, below the current cell. This is called a cell here. It shows the output here. And these are the lines. Okay. Also, in case you are not finding very comfortable with shortcuts or you want to get comfortable with shortcuts, you take a look at these shortcuts. Okay. All right. Also, you really don't need to, you know, learn all the shortcuts. Everything is in the menu. Okay. You can run all the things together. You can clear the outputs and so on. You say for example, you can click on here and say current outputs clear. So all the output lines are gone, all outputs and clear. So you can see all the outputs are gone. Also, whenever we are writing something, it gives the name to the line number. So you can see this is line number 8, as in the step number 8, and this is ninth. So it keeps on monotonically increasing. Okay, and some if you see a star, if you see a asterisk here, that means it is processing. If you don't see anything here, that means it has not executed it yet. All right. A question from Michael is that, so if we do the exercises using Anaconda or other tools, how are our works be recorded? I guess my question is hands-on activities part. So that one you have to do on CloudxLab. All right, Michael, good question. So you will have to do that part in the CloudxLab. So if you go in, let's say in my courses, okay, and under my courses, if you see a Python course, all right, Python course is probably uh, in almost, let me just take you here. Let's say machine learning specialization you have taken. So if you click on Python course here, okay, so here on the left hand side is the problem statement. On the right hand side is my notebook. The notebook, whatever you work here, it keeps it saved, all the work. And it's the same Jupyter notebook that we just saw. Is the same environment where you can run by pressing shift and enter. You can go into command mode and so on. So this is exactly same notebook, just that it gets evaluated when you are on this side. Let me just show you what I mean. Let's take and this is basically a Python course. Okay, it has videos, it has the simple questions so that you know what you just learned. So you have to answer these multiple choice questions, and these are extremely simple in the beginning, and the questions become difficult as you go ahead. All right. So let me just walk you through, say, a couple of questions. And as you perform the questions, you will keep on getting a score. You can see I have almost like 18,000 score. Okay, like here, it's a multiple choice question. Who are programmers? Those learn to program computers. All right, let me just say all of the above. So it's saying that it's a correct answer and taking me to the next step. Okay, so a computer and so on. So after this session, go through these exercises. In my courses under machine learning, Python specialization course, machine learning specialization course, you'll find the Python exercises. All right. So again, here, let's say these are the little bit more difficult exercises that you'll learn later. Here, let me show you that it's asking me to do the calculation based on the variables. You will learn these parts today. And let's say I'll take a little bit more simple example. It's asking me to create this variable, do this, do that, and so on. These are the instructions. So I have already written code for this. So all right, so I have done that. And when I submit, it is going to check my work and then say that I have successfully worked. All right. Though I did not get marks because I have already attempted it many times. So it gives the marks only for the first time. All right. So that's the answer. Thank you, Michael. All right, I'm going to close this chapter, I mean, the LMS page. All right, now getting back. So that was how you do it, CloudxLab. In case you want to set up everything just like what you have in CloudxLab, except for assessment part, you can download Anaconda for your desktop. And once you have done that, there'll be something called Anaconda Navigator. All right. Though I think I have already installed Anaconda. Oh, I don't have. All right. All right. But you can definitely install it. I'll have to install. Okay, I don't have much space left on my disk, so I'll be avoiding it. But it's not a big deal to install. It's around 500 megabytes, so you can download the Anaconda from their website and set up if you want. Okay. Question from Boyang is that, so are we supposed to follow along this lecture by answering these questions or just in our Jupyter on the desktop? Okay. So all right. So yeah. So I'll ask questions whenever needed. So don't worry. Right now, I have not asked any question. So after the session, after the session, you must finish the questions and answers inside the LMS. Okay. And okay. All right. We prefer that all of our learners do it in CloudxLab, but feel free to install on your desktop. Okay. And because whatever we are going to learn, it's not specific to CloudxLab. All right. We are learning a skill which is probably the most popular skill today and in the technology, and it's very much required in every field. Okay. Great. So that was a brief introduction on how to install. I hope you are comfortable with it. I'm just going to give you the blog post and you can follow it and then use them. All right. A question from Alok is, while installing, second, it's asking if we want to go for Python 3 or Python 2, right? So use Python 3 version, use most likely the 64-bit because most of the computers today are 64-bit. Okay, so all right, so it's up to you whether you want to use CloudxLab or desktop. We are going to basically focus mostly on the programming. All right, the LMS part, the course where there are exercises and so on, that you can do in your own time whenever you are free. All right. And here you just have to follow along with me in the session. Great, great. Let's move ahead. So this we have already done. Click on if you are using CloudxLab, go to My Lab, click on Jupyter, copy paste the login password, and you will see your folder structure. And afterwards, you can click on New and click on Python 3, and that will open up the Jupyter notebook. This is where we write code. You can press Shift along with Enter, or you can click on the run symbol at the top, like this symbol on the top. It will also run whatever you write here. Okay. All right. All right. I'm just going to see if it works, and I'm hoping that this should work. All right. You don't have to really follow along this part. Okay. All right. Okay. No, it doesn't work. Probably we have renamed this slide, so I'm going to leave a note. Okay. Leave a note, and I'm going to check this out at the later session. Okay, so the idea is that the all the versions of Python should be available in the lab. So there is something called Python environments, or we call them virtual environments. Using that, using that, you can use the multiple environments in the same account, and you don't have to worry about installing somebody else installing the packages. You can because you can install your own package in the virtual environment. So that's called virtual environment. So we had created a virtual environment for those who are trying to practice in Python 3, and that was by the PY36. Okay, I'm going to check it probably after this session. Now, in case you are trying to install, you can install this what I just talked about. So download Anaconda, install Anaconda, and open the Anaconda navigator. All right. And inside the navigator, you go to Jupyter Notebook and click on Launch. And you will get the similar environment like CloudxLab. Okay, so that was, oh, this is same as what we did. Okay, so that's what it is. And under my courses, you will see the machine learning specialization or Python or whichever course you have signed up for. All right. So is everybody in the Jupyter Notebook? Yes. Let me make a little bit more space for myself. I'll take out this presentation in the new window. And all right. And here, all right. A question from Sumit is that do we have any end-to-end project in Python for practical purpose, practice purpose? Of course. Of course, we do have that. Okay. So when in this Jupyter environment, you can also see what's running where. I want to shut this one down because this one is being used in the LMS, which I don't require right now. And let me also close this to make my workspace less cluttered. All right. Running kernel or Jupyter processes, it means that all the notebooks that you have opened, console and everything, those will be listed here. Great. Wonderful. Wonderful to have all of you in the session. And we will be focusing a lot on practicing. All right. All right. So let's get started. A little bit brief about the how does the computer work, and then we'll learn Python as a language. All right. So I'm going to go a little faster. In case I'm going faster, please feel free to please feel free to ask for slowing down, and please feel free to let me know to slow down. Okay. A question from Jaya is that I already installed Jupyter on my Mac before this session. Do I still need to install from CloudxLab? Not really, not really. Okay. If you've already installed, just open the notebook and that should be good enough. A question from Alok is how to save Jupyter Notebook after doing work to open next time. Good question. So by default, okay, so yeah, by default, it gives it a name. Like in my case, it has given it a name like Untitled 5. Okay. All of this work can be saved into something called a Jupyter Notebook. The Jupyter Notebook contains your code, your output along with it, okay, and everything and packed into a single file. Right now it has given it a name like Untitled 5. You can just click on it and say Python tutorial 1. Okay, that's the name. Also it keeps on checking by itself. It keeps on saving by itself, and or you can click on save and checkpoint button here. Okay. A question from Satyajit is Jupyter suitable for building classes that can be imported into other Jupyter notebooks? Very good question. A quick answer is no. All right. In that case is what you do is you create normal text file containing Python code and you can import your classes from one place to another. All right. We will learn that part in one of the chapters. All right. We will also learn how to do everything from console, even if you don't have Jupyter or any other editor like PyCharm. Okay, so we'll learn that part as well. At that point of time, we'll also learn how to run things from command with command line arguments in Python, and also how to import packages or how to create your own package. All right, or your own library. Wonderful questions. Wonderful questions. So, good. A question from Vishnath is that can these learnings be used in embedding systems? Of course. This is very foundational part. So the Python language remains same everywhere. So whatever we are learning here is going to be useful there also. All right, great. A question from Gagnesh is, would you recommend any book for Python? My personal suggestion is always follow the Python documentation. All right. I'm not a very fan of books when it comes to learning programming language. I prefer, even when we learned in Java, I always followed the manual. All right, because the reason is that get used to reading the manual of a programming language because you will need it more and more. All right. Second is the reason why I do not recommend the book is that a, a language is all about doing, okay, by trying. Let's say you want to check whether this works or not works, just try it out. All right. The problem with the book in programming is one, when you are reading the book, you will basically be a bit lazy in trying it out. Second, second, you cannot copy paste the code from a book, so you will be you will keep on delaying trying out things. Okay, so I though there are good books like Learning Python is a good book, and there are really good books which are in hard print, but I would strongly recommend following the tutorial of following the documentation of Python modules. Is really well documented, and that would teach you the vocabulary of the programmers and make you very comfortable with the ideas of Python. All right. Great question. So moving ahead, now this we have already talked about, and yes, all right, great. So question is why program? Okay. So what is your reason for programming, everyone? Why do you want to learn programming? Yes, feel free to say. Because the most important part to start in programming is to be motivated to do it. There is an initial hurdle, maybe like a couple of days of hurdle. And once you cross that, you will start enjoying programming. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Good. So why program? Why to learn programming? Okay. Please, while you are answering, let me push this question. How many libraries are there for machine learning except scikit-learn? There are many libraries. You'll be amazed at. There are almost every package that you see has a Python library. All right, starting with NumPy, Pandas, scikit-learn you've already told, and then SciPy, and there is something called TensorFlow. These are the things anyway we are going to cover in this course. And there are Matplot for visualizing the data, and that also we'll learn in this course. And afterwards, there are quite a few library. Almost everything today has a Python API. API is nothing but the way you call something external from within a programming language. So there is almost for everything there is a API and you can use that. Okay. So great. Yes. Very good question. Okay. Wonderful answers. I'm going to go through these answers probably towards the end. These are uh, quite insightful to me. Okay. All right. Good. Good. All right. These are quite motivation. These are quite a motivation responses, motivating responses. Question from Satyajit is, would you demonstrate how to install Cafe? Okay, not as part of this course, but we can plan something out because installing Cafe has been a big pain. So what people generally do is they use these virtual bus machines that have Cafe pre-installed, so it becomes really easy. All right, so why program? Now, here is the one few. some more motivation. Everybody should learn how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. All right? And I completely agree with it. I believe that when you learn to program, it's going to when you learn to program, it is going to make you think about problems in the right way. All right. The first form is when you are able to teach somebody a programming. That's the first phase. That means that you know enough. But if you can code something, you can build something that is basically something that, I mean, that means that you have really learned about something. Okay. So let's say, let me give you a better example. That let's say you can tell somebody that this is how the interest is computed, right? You can teach somebody. But if you can do it with pen and paper, or you can write a code about it, that means you've understood it. All right. So look, okay, looks like it was told by Bill Gates, not Steve Jobs. Okay, good. Yes, let's move ahead. So the computers are built for one purpose, to do things for us. Okay, but we need to speak the language to describe what we want. Users have it easy. Some already basically you can generally so there are already a lot of programs written by people across the globe, and the world which we are living in right now has libraries and packages and pre-trained models and everything available to us. So given the tools, given the pre-trained models, we can do a lot of magic. What I mean by pre-trained model, meaning, let's say today you decide that, hey, you want to do the super complex face recognition. All right, this is very important. So let's say you have a basic knowledge of Python, just basics. Okay, you know how to use an API. You know exactly how to run a program. That's all. Now you decide to do the face recognition, for example. All right. So already the projects like FaceNet, okay, projects like FaceNet are avail or OpenCV are available to us. Okay, so you can just import those packages and can get started with face recognition. And it's so amazingly simple that it comes so naturally that even the complex tasks such as face recognition is like few lines of code. All right. So make yourself really comfortable with programming, because even though it is extremely simple, but since it's a different language, you will become a little bit, upset looking at a different kind of thing on the screen. Okay, I can recollect my first day when I saw the C code in a magazine, and I found it very cryptic, and it was not very comfortable. All right, so make yourself really comfortable with the programming. Okay, and a lot of magic can be pulled through today without spending much money on any of the packages or things like that. Most of the greatest thing today are open source. All right, and most of the commodity part is open source. All right, so So programmers anticipate needs. Okay. What As a programmer, what you need to do is you need to anticipate need. You have to figure out what is it that's needed, and and build that. Once you become comfortable in any programming language, learning a new programming language becomes extremely simple. It took me a long time to learn C. That's where I started. But afterwards, it did not take me much time to move to other languages. All right. So that's a good part. Also, there's a question that needs to be answered. Should we learn Scala or Python? My suggestion will be start with Python because the way Scala has been designed, since Java was very, very complex, Java not complex in terms of programming, but in terms of typing, you had to type a lot to get a small things done. Therefore, people were not really finding Java very inviting. So that's where the Scala came along. So Scala is designed like Python. Okay. And under the hood, it's basically Java. The code it compiles to is in Java bytecode and so on. Those who are comparing Scala and Python, they should be rest assured that once they are comfortable with Python, they will be more comfortable with Scala. Okay? Because Scala has been designed to look like Python. Okay? Though there are quite a few differences. Okay? A question from Karthikeyan is why you say a program as a commodity. A program is a commodity. Why I say is because um, how should I say? All right, you can interpret the program in many ways. And today, since the the development of any program is so easy for everyone, so it is very much like a commodity. All right, everybody can code today on their laptops. All of it is available for free. So that's why. Okay. A question from Paramjit is: are you going to go over PyTorch or will that be covered in AI course? So scikit-learn and TensorFlow is what we are going to go through in this course at a later point of time. So we'll start with Python, then we'll start with machine learning libraries, and then we'll start with machine learning. And afterwards, we'll learn the TensorFlow, and then we'll learn the deep learning. All right, that's the flow of the course. Also, while we were before starting the course, we will also learn a bit of linear algebra towards the end of Python course. Okay, towards the end of Python course, we'll learn a little bit mathematics, whichever is required for machine learning, and be rest assured that it's going to be super simple. So do not be upset with the maths. All right, so great. A question from Pushpajit is currently I can program with C and C++ with confidence, and I know the data structures and other stuff. So is that good for machine learning? Yes, it is definitely very good for machine learning because for you to pick up any other language is far more simple. Okay, when you will look at Python, you will see that the basic constructs, the expression is still like C and C++. Okay, it's far more, just that it's far more simplified. The pain that we had in C, C++ is kind of removed. Okay, a question is how long does it take to learn Python? So it all depends on what you want to learn. Okay, so there is a very popular book called Learning a Programming Language in 10 Years. It's written by Peter Narvik, one of the persons in AI. So, how to learn to code in 10 years. That was the book. So, even though it's really quick to get started, it's up to your interest level, how much you want to go, how much comfortable you want to get into programming. Okay, first part is learning the language, that how to do things, what are the things possible in this language. Second part is being able to convert the real life things into the code. Okay, how to express something, how to convert, build a logic to solve a hard problem. That takes a little longer time. Okay, that is a function of how much practice do you want to do. Though if you just have to learn the basics of Python, it may take maybe 3-4 days just to get up and running with loops and classes and objects and things like that. But to get into I mean, it's a lifelong thing. I still practice solving a lot of problems, and that's how I keep myself um, updated with the various ways of problem solving. All right. A question is, don't you cover statistics? Yes, we do cover statistics. We cover a small portion of statistics called statistical inferences quickly before starting machine learning course. All right. This machine learning specialization is probably the most in-depth course available online as well as live. And in this specialization, we focus a lot on problem solving. And you can take a look at the feedback by people who have attended. So this course runs for more than 3 months. It goes for more than around 4 or 5 months. And so be aware that it's going to be deep dive. You will learn how to solve hard problems as part of this course. All right. So I'm trying hard to keep things extremely simple. All right. So the prices and everything is available on the website. So you can take a look in your own currency. You will see. All right. The email ID that you can get in touch with is reach us at CloudxLab. Okay, reach us at CloudxLab. All right, wonderful. So great questions. Move ahead. So general information. So all right. So programmers anticipate needs. They figure out that these are the things that should be done. This is how it'll look after I build it, and then they build it. All right. So users versus programmers. Users see computers as a set of tools. So users use programs, and programmers create the programs. And it requires a decent amount of thinking through. Whenever you are creating a new thing, when you are creating a piece of art, when you are creating a um, whenever you're creating something that doesn't exist, it requires uh, thinking through. It requires working on it a little bit more. All right. Similarly, the case with programmers, when you are creating a program, the chances are that it would require a lot of focus, and it would force you um, to think differently. All right. So just like any creativity, the programs are the creative uh, programs are the creations of the programmers. All right. And yeah, so now the users interact with the computer hardware as well as software. Like for example, users who are using the phone, the phone is the hardware and the software is inside it. And inside it interacts with the data, information, and networks, and so on. All right. So from a software creator's point of view, the programmers build the software. The end users are our masters. So this is something important. Whenever you are building something, keep in mind the end user. Okay, keep in mind the end user. We try to anticipate their need. We try to solve their problems, and so on. That's why a lot of apps become very successful. Okay, and okay, so hardware as well as software, both understanding of both helps you solve the problem the best. Okay, so why be programmer? To get some tasks done, to produce something for others to use, and so on. And what is code? A software, a program. What is a code? Code is nothing but a sequence of stored instructions. It's a little piece of our intelligence in the code. So the code is your expression of thought. Okay, it's a little piece of in our intelligence we can give it to others. Okay, this is something tangible and yet not tangible that we hand over somebody else. We figure something out and then we encode it and then give it to someone else to save their time and energy from themselves figuring it out. So that's the program, that's the software that we can we can express or we can solve a problem in terms of instructions, in terms of the instructions given to the computers. And these instructions, when saved in a file or saved in certain format, can be handed over to other people and they can use the same. That's called the program. Okay. All right. Like for example, the easiest analogy for the programs is the let's say the video. Okay, so while the music is playing, do the left hand out and up, then right hand out and up. So that's like learning to dance, right? So the 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 dance steps are the programs for humans. All right, and the programs for Python, um, they look like simple instructions, but the life is not that easy. It basically will have lot of conditions that you will have to take care. All right. So programs of Python don't look as fun as the dance, but you will find them um, more fun when you get used to them. All right. Moving ahead. So yeah. All right. So this is the example of the code. You can see here there is a all right. So this is one example of the code before you move ahead. So just get used to it. So here we are reading the name, opening the file, the reading the text. This is the name of the file that we read. Then we read the text, we split the text into words, and then we create a dictionary and so on. Don't worry in case you don't get, in case you are not getting any of it, don't worry. All right. So this is just an example of how the code in Python looks like. Okay. The other important part in case of Python code is that other than it looking like English and there are these spaces, these are called indentations. Whenever we are using a loop or a condition, we use the indentation that makes the code look nicer. All right. Now moving ahead. All right. A question from Pushpajit is which topics I have to learn in maths before getting started in machine learning? Answer from Karnam is that linear algebra, probability, permutation, combination, etc. But trust me, you don't have to worry about that part. Get started in case you get stuck, then go back and read only that part. That will be sufficient. All right. Otherwise, what happens with most of us is that we kind of get discouraged by looking at that list. Okay, so my strong suggestion will be that just get started. Specifically, take a look at the end-to-end project that we have mentioned, and there you will realize that whatever is required is there already. Okay, also here in this course we will be covering all of the things that are required in case of machine learning as well as deep learning, so you don't have to worry about the prerequisites. But yes, the answer from Karnam is sort of right. Okay, a question from DP Sharma is that your personal ID. To be very honest, I have kind of stopped looking at my personal ID. It is just too spammed. I actually prefer the reaches at CloudxLab. So and along with the team, so it'll be easy to just drop a mail there. Okay, don't worry, it will be I'll be looking at every email. Okay, great. And moving ahead, so this is how it looks like. Now, the hardware architecture I'd like to go through quickly. This is an example of computer called Arduino. Arduino is really small computer. Okay, so this is how it looks like. So not Arduino, it's actually Raspberry Pi. Sorry, it's a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is also very simplified computer, which you can use in many cases for IoT work and other works. You can use the Raspberry Pi. All right. So this is an example of the computer. It has, you can see, it has HDMI cable and it has all kinds of plug pin points that you can control using the program. Okay. Now, in general, this is how, this is how the computer looks like. Okay. So there is a central processing unit. We call that CPU. There is a main memory and there is a secondary memory. Like this is the memory called, let's say, disk drive or hard disk drive or solid state drive, tape, tape drive, and so on, or SD card, and so on. Even in the phone, even in the computer, the architecture is the same. There's a processor which loads things into the main memory, processes them, and gives the output to the output devices or saves it in another secondary memory. Okay, so basically what we, when we write the code, when we write the software, we give the instructions to the central processing unit that, so these are the list of instructions that we give to the CPU, and CPU reads all the instructions from the main memory, and after reading those instructions it does those tasks. Okay, as well as it can read the data from the secondary memory into main memory, and so on. So the input devices like keyboard, when we type something it should come, the CPU should be able to read from the keyboard, as well as CPU can give output to the output devices such as monitor, printer, and so on. So this is the main idea. So what we write is we command CPU. We give the list of instructions to CPU. Okay? And of course, in case we need something to be in the secondary memory like configuration file and so on, we basically bundle it together with our code. All right. Now, a quick definition: CPU is central processing unit. Okay, and the CPU is always wondering what to do next. Okay, not the brains exactly, but very dumb, but it does things really fast. The CPU is the one which has all kinds of logic gates, which basically interpret the incoming binary code. Whatever the code we write, it gets converted into the binary code, like zeros and ones, and that's what CPU processes. Okay, so the input devices such as keyboard, mouse, and touch screens are also there. The examples of output devices are screen, speakers, printers, DVD burners, and so on. Okay. The main memory is the fast, small, temporary storage. Keep this in mind that generally the main memory, we also call that RAM, random access memory, and it's a small memory which you load it from the days, which in which you only load small amount of information, not too huge. Okay, so main memory is, earlier it used to be something like 4 GB. My first computer has 128 megabytes of memory, and And these days we have the laptops, let's say MacBook Air is around 8 GB of memory, and the newer computers, the phones these days have around 4 GB or 8 GB of memory, and so on. All right. And keep in mind that all of these components are very important in computing. Okay. So secondary memory is the permanent storage. Until we delete something, the items will remain there. The challenge with the main memory is the moment you turn off the computer, everything that was there in the main memory will be cleared. Okay. All right. A question from Naidu is, maybe it's for me only. Don't you think it's a waste of time? What you're covering, nothing related to either Python or Naidu or ML. Good point, Naidu. So for those who have the basics of Python clear, maybe this may not be suitable for you. All right. But for a lot of people who are starting to program, this particular session is for them. All right. And we need to be a little bit more considerate about people who are just starting to program, and that's why we have kept it extremely simple in the first session. All right. I hope you will be able to connect with uh, people, and also it's good to help everyone learn. Okay. So so in case if you feel like you can answer the questions, if you are already comfortable with these ideas, if people are asking, all right, or you may choose to join from the second session if that is what you prefer. All right, great. So yeah, and also I'll be a little faster. So okay, feel free to pause me in case I'm going faster. All right, thank you, Naidu. All right. So the CPU basically keeps reading the instructions from the memory and keeps working on it. Say, for example, checking whether x is less than 3, then print something. All right. But this code that I showed here will be in the form of binary like zeros and ones, and or we call that machine language, and CPU reads that machine language and processes those instructions. All right. Now, once it does a lot of things, the CPU gets heated. That's why there's a way to cool it down. All right. So this is how hard disk looks like, just like cassettes we had in childhood, like the tape recorder. It has the um, magnetic, you can say, platter, which keeps on rotating, and you read the data from it using this header. This is called header. So this hard disk rotates and this header moves back and forth like this. All right. So because hard disk involves moving the physical parts, hard disk is generally far more slower to read, but it has huge storage. All right. Now, Python is a language. Python is a language of Python interpreter. So we talk to the computer using Python. Python was initially developed by Guido van Rossum. Okay, and okay, so we need to learn Python language so that we can communicate instructions to the instructions to the computer. In the beginning, we'll make a lot of mistakes, and it looks like gibberish in the beginning to as if for the kids, and the computer will throw error, and it'll basically say syntax error, and you will learn by working with the computer, right? Good part about learning a programming language is you do not need too much hand holding, because computer gives you feedback, and you can basically follow the feedback, search online, and get your answer. All right. So general questions that why people should use Python. Okay. A good question from Satyajit is, why did it take so long to become popular? Very good question. Anybody wants to answer that? All right. First of all, the first of all, it takes some time for any programming language to become popular. Approximately a minimum of 10 years is what it takes. The programming language like Scala has been there for more than 15 years now. So it's not, it is started in 2005, so it's 13 years now. So a programming language like even Scala is 13-year-old. So it takes a programming language to be, it takes long time to become popular. Okay, it takes long time to become for programming language to become popular, and the strong reason for there has to be a very strong reason for programming language to become popular. The one of them is speed, and other of them is the readability and so on. And since in the recent times, the a lot of interactive computing has kicked in. Interactive computing as in we basically execute once expression at a time. And that's where the Python has done very good job. The other reason is that these features that we are going to do, the reason why we want to use Python, one is the code is very readable. Since Python enforces the indentation, it interprets the indentation as starting of the block and ending of the block. Therefore, the Python code does not suffer from bad indentation. If the indentation is bad, you won't be able to read somebody's code. And the code is for human consumption, as opposed to what we always believed that code is for machines consumption. Code is for human consumption, because same code that you're going to write, maybe you yourself are going to read the same code maybe 100 times, 100 times the same piece of code. So the code, the readability of the code is very important, and this is where Python's enforced indentations enforce that, hey, you need to leave this much space if for everything inside this block. So that's called indentation. So indentation is kind of enforced. The other aspect is that Python has all kinds of constructs. It has got object oriented as well as functional. So it's quite versatile. Next is developer productivity. Since you don't have to write a lot of useless code, and I remember in one of the sessions, I was trying to explain how the Java code looks like. And most of the learners who were looking at the code for the first time, Java code was not easy to get digested in even the Hello World example. So that's why Python does a very good job, specifically in terms of lines of code. So the code size is maybe 1/5 of Java code. Okay. Now again, okay. Again, at subconscious level, I mean, I am a Java programmer. I have done programming in Java for like 10 years. But when the moment I realized that I could do things really quickly in Python, okay, for most of the work, I have used Python only in case of environments where the compilation is needed and all that. Only in those cases, I have not used Python. Okay, so again, the code size is very small, so your subconscious fear of typing is not there, and hence the smaller code is easier to maintain, debug, and type. Okay, so program portability, the same program can run on Linux machine, Mac, as well as Windows, and it supports all kinds of libraries. There are libraries for website construction. You can create website, you can do all kinds of mathematical programming, you can do the drivers, you can access you can do a lot of IoT work, as well as you can do the game development, and and even in the mathematical computing, I can assure you that the libraries like NumPy for Python are far more powerful than MATLAB. Okay, and so it's actually worth learning Python. Good news is it's probably the easiest language to learn, as well as most versatile and powerful. All right. So you can also, the other important part is using Python, you can interact with almost every language. Okay. And that's why, even though a lot of packages are written in other language, like TensorFlow, for example, is written in C++, but you can use Python to use TensorFlow. Okay. So you can interact with almost every language using Python. Also, the most important part is that programming was supposed to be fun. Okay, programming was supposed to be fun, and Python makes it so. Okay, while the other languages which require a lot of typing, they make the programming look like a labor, a chore that needs to be done. We need to define this, define that, and so on. So it takes it. Other programming languages took the joy out of programming, while Python brought back the joy, because you'll focus more on your logic rather than syntax, rather than define this, define that, and so on. And honestly speaking, even though, say for example, I recently published a package called Spark Index, something. Okay, it's called the word matcher. Okay, it's basically for searching phrase search. It's for searching list of phrases in huge data. And before I did it in Scala, I actually finished everything in Python and then wrote in Scala. Reason being that when I'm writing in Python, I'm focusing on my logic mostly rather than the syntax. Okay. And that's one of the biggest advantages of Python. Okay. You focus on your programming language. All right. Okay. All right. A question from Dhruv is, can you, okay. All right. So I think that's okay for now. A question from Bhargavi is that ML and analytics needs arise now in this era. As yes, that's right. We have a lot of data, so we need all of that and need to analyze in such competitive business. Yeah, and all right, that's right. A point from Manan is, can you please comment on the speed and security between C++ and Python if programming for IoT or real-time analysis? Okay, no worries. So this is good. I think that'll be useful for everyone. Thank you, Satyajit. A question from Manan is, can you comment on the speed? So C++ code is faster than the Python code. Okay, but you'll be amazed that most of the time the performance with respect to your application is in terms of the data structure you use, the strategy you use in coding, and so on. All right. Like for example, if you are trying to do multi-threaded programming or trying to use multiple computers, the when you do the things right, even in Python, you get like 100 times improvement in the speed. But but if you move from Python to say C++, the amount of improvement you might get maybe 3 times or so. Okay, so and keep in mind that in real life, in a larger project, the the speed gains from other languages will be very minuscule, because mostly in the programming, mostly in the practical programming, you would not need too much of you would not need few more milliseconds at that level. All right. So you will notice so in simple words, even though Python is a bit slow from say C++ or Java, but but that slowness is insignificant to you. Okay, that slowness is insignificant to you. Like for example, we are running the whole website using Python, okay? And we're pretty happy because we are able to optimize and so on. Even if we move from Python to, say, Java, the the improvement on the website could be in milliseconds, but the time taken to develop something will go drastically higher. Okay, so that's how. All right. So yes, and with respect to security, security is more to do with the way we use the processes and the programs. Okay, so you can write really insecure code in Java, and as well as you can write very secure code in Python. So it's up to the way we construct our business logic. All right. So all right. And the other aspect, like buffer overflows and other things in C++ or C, although that has been now taken care mostly, but still, if you think about buffer overflows as one example, then probably Python would be a little bit more secure in terms of the buffer overflows. All right, but that discussion is deserves a far bigger detailed comment. So probably you could leave the same one on our forum and I will try my best to answer in more details. Good, very good question. So, question is it a scripting language? Yes, it's a general purpose programming language that blends procedural, functional, and object-oriented paradigm. Okay. Yes, execution speed is lower than C++ because here the source code gets converted in bytecodes and then gets executed. Though good part is that Python comes with a compiler called PyPy, using which you can compile your Python code and it becomes faster. Most of the scikit-learn library, for example, the machine learning library that we are going to use in Python, this most of it is written in PyPy. Okay, so you can also link the compile extension for numeric. All right. NumPy, for example, underneath most of its components are written in C++ and are being used in Python. So most of the heavyweight lifting is done using using these low-level languages. But Python is a great language to build large-scale application because you can use all kinds of libraries. The other point that is not mentioned here, probably you may want to make a note of it. So the other important part is that the execution speed of programming languages have stopped mattering thanks to the frameworks like TensorFlow that we are going to discuss in the next in the in the in the next course. So the speed in case of TensorFlow does not matter. Why? Because here, the most of the computation gets delegated to the TensorFlow side. We construct the entire logic, we hand it over to the TensorFlow. TensorFlow runs on runs it using like the code which somebody has written in C++, which is extremely fast. Okay, so essentially, whether you are using R or Python with TensorFlow, the speed is going to be same. Similarly, whether we are using whether uh, I mean, in case of even in case of scikit-learn, NumPy, pandas, whatever we are going to do, it's going to get executed on the C++ side, and therefore it's going to be fast. All right. So coming back to the point that the speed of Python, even if it's a bit slow, it will actually never matter to you. Okay. So again, that's very important point. Who is using Python? Almost everyone, in simple words. And almost everybody has moved to Python and at a large scale. Though enterprises which want the code to be tested and compiled before it is put to production, they don't use um, Python. Python. Okay, while everybody use Python, you can in Python you can do almost everything. You can do systems programming, GUI, internet scripting, and crawling, and so on. You can do almost everything. Okay, we are doing the video editing in Python, and we are also doing things like um, converting this presentation into images, all of that using Python. All right. So it's an amazing language. It's a general purpose language. It's easier and it's preferred choice for deep learning, machine learning, and everything. Okay. So it's open source. All right. Let's, this we have already finished. Okay. All right. So we are going to start Python, the code, immediately after the break. Let's take a break for say 10 minutes. All right, let me just refresh. Okay, great. Shall we start? Are you able to hear me? All right. A question from Omkar is that can you give a brief of the course structure? The course structure is, you can take a look at the uh, CloudxLab. Okay. So if you go into let's say Python for machine learning, okay, and we have the okay. So all right, this part we have not yet touched upon, okay, and we're going to learn basics of Python and so on, and then once we are done with basics of Python, then we are going to do a project afterwards, and then where is the specialization? I'll just show you the specialization. Okay, so here we are. All right, great. Oh, we all have to, very soon we are all going to do coding. All right, all of you have to do the coding together. All right, after this. Okay. Okay, moving ahead here. So this is the first part. We're going to talk about Python and basics of algebra, then NumPy pandas, and so on. And then we'll start with machine learning. In machine learning, we're going to first talk about the statistics, afterwards the landscape, and so on. This is something that we have already discussed once. And then we will build an end-to-end machine learning project before starting machine learning. This is something which we have thought about, that we will do the project before the course. And then we will do the classification, training models, and all of that. And once done, then we'll start with deep learning. Before deep learning, we will go through the TensorFlow, okay, and so on, okay. And before TensorFlow, and then we'll start with neural network and all the details about the neural network. All right. So that's about the course. I hope that answers your question, Omkar. A question from Sven is that I need to download in order to code. You can download the Anaconda. Okay, you can download the Anaconda. Let me see if I could. All right. So follow this blog post in case you are still lost in terms of uh, in terms of getting started. All right. All right. So the first thing we have is the elements of Python. Elements of Python are basically, one is vocabulary or words, that there are some words which are reserved and some that you can define or you can use them as a variable. Okay, variable name. You can define your own words, you can define your own variables, and There's something we call it a sentence. It's basically an expression. That's how it is. Story structure, the third part, is creating a full programs using the sentences, and that's how the Python looks like. We'll be using Python 3. Okay, all right. That basically the main difference between Python versions is between Python 2 and Python 3. There's not humongous difference. There are tiny bit of differences. We will also talk about that very soon. Okay, and those who are in case you want to earn a certificate, you will have to solve the problems available as part of my courses. You can take a look. All right, that's how you can get the certificate. All right, so moving ahead, this is how the short story looks like. It's a short story about how to count words in a file in Python. Count words as in what's the frequency of each word in a given file. What's a file? Um, file is something like a smallest representation in the file system on your computer. A file could have a text data. File could have binary data like Excel sheet or docs and so on. And using Python, you can read the text file or any kind of file. Okay. Here we are reading a text file that contains that contains a list of words, and that's about it. Okay. All right. So here, basically, what we are doing is we are reading a dictionary, then and so on. So we basically counting the words, first asking for the file name, reading the data from the file, breaking the text in the file based on the space, then maintaining a dictionary, or you can say a count of every word. This is the empty dictionary we have created. Then we go through one word one by one and keep a note in this dictionary. Okay, we are basically updating this dictionary as we go ahead. And at the end of it, this dictionary would contain the numbers. All right. And and that's pretty much so then we go through this dictionary, the elements, and basically find the one that has the maximum counts. So this is the biggest, finding the biggest word and so on. All right, so don't worry in case you did not understand even a single line. We will get into that very quickly. All right, so the reserve words is you cannot use reserve words as variables or identifier. Now we will talk about that in a minute. So we can define our variable in a very simple way. Let's say here we want to say x equals 2. Okay, so this x will have a certain value which is 2 right now. We can change it to something else. Okay, now you might be wondering that what is the type, what is the the data type of this x. All right, let me explain again. So right now, just like in your calculator, there is a memory. Here, we are defining a variable that points to this 4. Every time, wherever we want to use x, we can use x just like this. Okay. Similarly, let's say we know that, okay, the P is 100, the principal, and the rate is 10. The years are how many? Let's say 2. So we are computing the rate, the interest. The interest equals P into R into Y divided by 100. Okay. Let me just remove this and put a T. That'll make more sense. Okay. Will that work? Now let's check what is there inside I. Is that correct? Yes. So here we just calculated the rate of interest. Okay. Sorry, we just calculated the interest using the principal, rate, and time. Do you want to give it a shot with me? Ah, I can't really give you like that. I'll have to. Um, should we do something like how can I? There's a I'm facing a bit of challenge in sharing the notes because this one is not letting me type the new line characters. So what would be the better way? Should I create Google Docs or something? Hmm. So yeah, I'll just explain. So I just jumped a little ahead so that I can see if I'm moving too slow, too fast. Okay. All right. So we are saying P into R, which is this is the principal. And the way we compute interest is we multiply what was the base amount with the rate of interest and for how many years we have taken the loan or for how many years we need to pay the interest. So this is the time, T for time, multiplied by rate of interest. So total, if there was 1 rupee, this will be how much we have to pay, rate into time. And since it's more than 1 rupee, this is how much it is. Since the rate is generally expressed in per year in percentage, so we need to divide that by 100. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll try to copy paste my code here. Is there a better way? Then let me know. Okay. This is the first code to compute the rate of interest. Are you able to see? All right. I'll be writing there. And even though you all can change that file, uh, try not changing that. Okay. Because I'm not able to copy paste it in chat since it's removing the new line. And therefore, I would like to keep it in there. Great. So yes, so this is basically a very simple program. Is everyone clear about it? This is the one variable called P. P holds 100. R holds the rate 10, that is 10. And T holds what? 2. Okay. Now here we are saying P into R into T divide by 100. In case we don't assign it to something, somebody will basically print it here. Okay. And we can assign it something and then use that variable. Okay, so this is the simplest program to compute the interest. Okay, and of course, just like normally we can put brackets, right? And you don't need to put curly brackets, you only have to put the round brackets. If you want to do something like this, that, right? First multiply this, then multiply that, and so on. So this is like round brackets. Okay. So is everyone comfortable with this? Yes? Please feel free to ask in case you feel that. Yes? Not clear? Should I zoom it out a bit? Hide the header. Okay. You can change the values, like let's say I want to compute for 200 to 200 and this whatever. Okay. All right. I'm moving a bit fast. In case there are doubts, please let me know. Yes. Nihar's question is, am I the only one who is? Yeah. I'm keeping the pace really slow purposefully because a lot of the people who are attending it are the first timers. So I hope you will have, you'll be comfortable with that. All right. Yes. Thank you, Helen. So, all right. So probably if you're comfortable with the basics, you could also help everyone else. All right. So great, great. And now one more thing that I want to discuss is there is something called print. Okay. Let's say I want to print anything. Let's say I want to print my interest. Okay, even though I could just type I and press shift enter, it shows, but print statement is useful when we want to really print something on the screen. Okay, so print basically accepts any variable. Also, this is how we define numbers. You see, this is how we define numbers. And the way we define strings is, let's say my name is, right? This is how we define string. String is nothing but the text. Okay, so using let's say or let me just put it this way. So this is my name. Okay, this is represented as a variable. Okay, I can print it using the print statement. All right, so we can define numbers as well as text, right? Also notice that here either you could put single quotes or double quotes. Okay, but you can't mix the two. All right. So you can see, that this name is represented under the single quotes and it's a string. Okay. A question from Vishwanath is, once you open the Jupyter Notebook and you, let's say, are here, you can click on New and click on Python 3. Okay, Vishwanath? And once you click that, it will open a notebook like this. You type your code here and press Shift Enter. All right. Are you able to find this option? New and Python 3. All right. Why I'm going back is because if it's not done, probably he won't be able to start. Okay. So you can click on Python 3. Do you see this kind of a screen? And you can type your code here like this, like 2 plus 3, and press enter. Press shift enter, shift and enter. Great, wonderful, wonderful. So that's about how we define a string. Okay, and the print statement, of course, is like that. Now, a question to all of you is, what if my name had a single quote? Okay, what if my name had a single quote? All right. So what if my name had a single quote? There are two ways. One, I put a single quote. If I do this, it'll throw an error saying it's an invalid syntax. Do you see that? if I put single quote just like that, because it'll think that, okay, I started single quote, that means it's a text, the text ended, so then what is this? Okay, therefore, if you want, if my name had a single quote in it, we'll put a slash here. Okay, slash here. Slash means anything, a single character after slash is considered as a special one. Okay, so now if you take a look at my name, okay, this has a single quote. Is everyone okay with that? I'm just talking about defining a very basic string. Okay, done, everyone? Okay. Now, what if my name had this slash? Okay. What if my name had this slash followed by a single quote? What will I do then? Okay. In that case, for this, I'll put in the comment and this. Okay. So if my name had slash, okay, not like this. Okay. Yeah. So you can see that this is basically what um, it looks like. Slash here, even though, okay. So you can see, if I say print, it is showing me that my name is Sandeep slash single quote Giri. Okay. So are you able to see that? Generally, when you type name, it shows the string in a very raw format. Good. A question is, you can also use that. That's a good part. That's what I was coming to. In case the first option was putting a slash. Okay? Putting a slash. When I wanted a single quote in this, either I could do this or I could also put double quotes inside it and put single quote here. All right. Either of these are equivalent. Okay. If let's say I just wanted a single quote in my name, and either I could put a slash before it, or I can enclose a single quote inside double quotes. See that? And vice versa. I can enclose the double quote inside the single quote as well. See that? Okay, good. All right. If you if you don't like the slashes and so on, you may choose this kind of model. Great. And Python also has multi-line way of doing things. This is the multi-line string. Okay, this is the multi-line string. In case I want like multi-line, like full paragraph in my name, this is what it look like. Okay, so starting with three single quote, ending with three single quotes. Yes. Now, a number of times, what we want to do is when we are writing logic, like here, we want to say that rate of interest is um, is multiplication of all. Okay, let's say I want to put a comment like this because code might become cryptic for the readers of your code. Therefore, you may want to write something important inside the code. In that case, you can begin the line with a hash. Okay, that's called comment. Okay, this is called a comment. Right? You can see that it has no impact at all. The moment if I remove this, it'll throw an exception saying it is, see, it's invalid syntax, right? So also in case of Jupyter, you can say command slash to comment uncomment. I'm using the Mac. On Mac, it's command slash. For Windows, it would be, I think, control slash or something. All right. So you can see that this is all right. One more thing I want to highlight before we go ahead. Jupyter provides you the cell format to be something else. I'm changing the cell to markdown if I want to put something nice. So let's say I want to put a heading. This is program to compute. Okay, you can see this is come like a heading. If I want to put an image, I can copy the image and paste it in the box. It'll come here. Okay. Our question is, does Python has multi-line comments? The answer is not really, but you can emulate multi-line comments by these string multi-line string formats. Okay, multi-line string formats. Our question is, if we want to print out the comment along the name. Okay, print if you want to print the comment along the name, as in you want to print this. Oh, you mean to see that if you want to put comment here, you can do that. Okay. Everything after hash is considered as a comment. Comment can come anywhere in the line, whether in the beginning or anywhere. All right. Abdullah. All right. Wonderful. So what we learned quite a few things just now. We learned how to create our own variables. Variables have their data types. Whenever we are assigning variables like this, it will automatically figure out that x is an integer. Okay. Also, please note that if you want to increase a variable, let's say we had, let's say x is 10, right? If you want to increase x by 1, we can say x plus equals 1, or we can say x plus 1. Python doesn't have x plus plus. Okay. So you can see it has increased once here. So the value is 12. All right. Now here there are many keywords. So here just we basically defined x as um, x. We just used x as a variable name, right? Earlier we used name as a variable name, and we also use PRT and so on, right? But there are some things that we can't really use as a variable name. Let's say for equals 1. Okay, it throws an error, right? Why? Because for is a special keyword in case of Python. Similarly, there are quite a few reserved words like while is also one, and there is also what is it? If, for example, you can see def. You can see we cannot define the variables with that name. Okay. Basically, these are the words that you cannot use. And, del, for, is, raise, assert, elif. Okay, so these are the reserved words that you cannot use for your own variable names. Now, you can combine all of these commands to form a full paragraph for a program. So, interactive by Python is good for sentiments in statements where you have like 3, 4 lines and so on. But if you want to create a full-fledged program, you will have to go to the console and you will have to use that. Okay, let me show you. I hope that will be okay with you if you go to New and click on Terminal. Those who are on Windows, there it may not work well. You might have to go to command prompt and there you have to write. Okay, so this is my console. Okay, this is my console. This is where I can run my Python programs. All right. A question from Nihar before I move ahead is, can we do multi-line comments like slash asterisk, then comment, and then end it with asterisk, just like C++? Answer is no. Python doesn't have multi-line comments. You can emulate it using 3 single quotes. Okay. Now let me try to create a simple Python program. You can click on New here and say text file. Okay. This is my simple Python program. Okay, and from here, I would like to copy, let's say this part. Okay, let's say this part. Here I'm saying I equals this. Okay, and then I am saying print I. Okay, let me change the name to something like very simple name. Let's call it interest.py. Okay, so using Jupyter, I just created a text file and changed its name to interest.py. This is my first Python program. Right? Yeah, are you able to follow me? So I just created this program called interest.py using the Python way by clicking new and then set text file and then right, I created this. I have basically put the code in that again that text file. Okay, all right. So this I have now saved. This I have now saved. Perfect. Now inside the console, how can you reach this console? You can click on New and click on Terminal. You can click on Terminal. You will see a screen like this. All right. This is called Linux Terminal. Okay. Okay. A A question from Sven is that can I get the same result by opening Notepad? And correct. Same results by doing that. That's right. Yes. Are you able to do this? So I just created a new file, new text file, interest.py. You can achieve the same thing by putting it in Notepad and so on. But if you are on Windows, I would strongly recommend, if you really want to do some programming, use Notepad++. Okay? Because I'm not a big fan of Windows Notepad. All right. Now let's create a file called interest.py and save it in the folder wherever you want to save it. Okay. Done. Should I move ahead? Yes. I've copy pasted the code in that code share screen. You can take a look. All right. So those who are not comfortable with Linux, make sure that you go through our Linux tutorial. I have done a lot of detailing in that course, and make sure that you do all the hands-on assessment of Linux, because that will make you more comfortable with Linux, because whether you are learning Python, you are learning data science, or any other programming, trust me, learning Linux will solve your life. Okay, because almost every server, almost every system uses Linux on a large scale. Therefore, it is important to learn Linux. Also, Microsoft is also moving to the Linux like terminal, which you can use on Windows. Therefore, it is very useful to use that. A question from Anand: if you are working on Entrot, Canopy, or Python idle cell, you can use multi-line commands. Yes, you can actually use those commands. Good question, Manan. Using single quote. Okay, three single quote. That's what I was demonstrating in this notebook. Okay, that's what I was demonstrating using this notebook. Okay, okay, great, great. I'm really happy that you are able to create this file interest.py. In case you are not, just let me know. I can help you out. So right now, if I go into console and say ls, okay, there are so many files for me. So there would be some file with the name called interest.py. All right. So you can see this is that file. If I want to take a look into this file quickly, I can see that using cat. Okay. So cat, this means print the content of this file on the console. All right. And all I'm trying to do is opening a file or printing the data inside a file using a command called cat. Okay, this is the Linux console. In the Linux console, you can type commands, it'll give you the output. Each command can take various arguments. And here there is a cat command which I'm executing, and cat command is taking the file name as the argument. It is showing the content of file here, right? Sounds good? Now, I can use the Python command with interest.py. You can see that it has printed 40 on the screen. Yes, are you comfortable, all of you? Okay, let Windows open the PowerShell prompt. Okay, you can just go to command in Windows. You can just click on Start button, then click on the Run, and inside that you can say CMD or command. And if you've installed Python, then you can use that. Okay, you have installed the Python, then you can use the Windows console. Okay, on Windows, you cannot use ls, use dir, okay, dir instead of ls. But I think the command in case of Windows will remain the same if Python is in your path. All right. Okay, so that's how we basically execute the Python script. So we just created a program called Python and we executed it using the command. We created a program called interest.py and we are executing it using the Python command. Okay. Point from Dhruv is that in Windows also we can follow the same step. New terminal will take you to the command prompt. Good. Thank you, Dhruv, to let me know because I've rarely worked on Windows, and once I tried to do Anaconda installation there, I was facing the difficulties with respect to the new terminal. Okay, so that's the reason why I was being cautious. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So yes, should I move ahead? Okay. Did you get 40? Yes, no? All right, so let's move ahead. So also note that in case of Python, this .py doesn't make any difference. Specifically in Windows, we could always say at the top, first line of the program should say user bin Python. Okay, this is kind of a convention that in whatever program name you write at the top of the program, that's basically okay. Never mind. So you can run it normally. Okay. So I'm I'm just showing you if you want to execute your program from command prompt, you can also do this way. Okay. Those who are interested in Windows, they can do ch mode, meaning we are making it executable, and then we are calling it like this. This may not be valid in case of Windows. Okay. And this is the first line that I have written here. Okay, I have also updated code there. All right, so good. So we were able to create our first file interest.py and execute it either using Python like this or like this. All right. A question from Sumit is that in live production environment, how do we execute using .sh file, or is there a way to automate via batch script? So you can see that the way I just executed using this, you can also call the Python program using shell file just like that. Okay. If you put this command in your shell file, it will run the Python code. Okay. Shell file is nothing but a list of commands put in a file, put into a file. Great, wonderful questions. Moving ahead. So, All right. Either you could write this we have already talked about. There are two ways to write the script, either interactive or using a script. Okay. So like a recipe or installation instruction, a program is a sequence of steps and we all know it. All right. So here, good. I hope this is clear to all. That first we are assigning x equals to 2, then we are printing x, and then we are increasing x with 2 and printing it. All right, we've already discussed the more details than this. Now, program has something called conditional steps. Program has something called conditional steps. It has if and else and so on. This is the first intelligent part of the program. Rest of so far was just a calculator. Okay, so first thing we have is here we are saying if x is less than 10, then do this. If x is greater than this, then do this. Okay. All right, before I jump into conditional steps, let me answer Sumit's question. Question is, do we have access to the terminal in the production? I hope it should be scheduled or via some scheduler. Okay, good question. Good question. In case you don't, yes, there are chances that you are not given the access to the production and there's some other team who is running your program. In that case, it's very hard to it's very hard to see the outcome. But generally, what happens in companies is that you are given rights to do the SSH, meaning rights to log in into the terminal. Okay, most of the environments. Okay, specifically DevOps and the production people are generally given the access to the production environment. All right, but in case your company does not allow you for production, you generally what you do is you set up staging environment where developers work, which is exactly like production. Okay, and anyway, without the Python program can run unattended. All right, great. So let me try to code this here. All right, I'm also putting it into that notebook parallelly. Okay, here we go. Here we're defining x as 5, then if x is less than 10, print this, otherwise this. Okay, all right. Make sure that all your indentation is equivalent. Please notice the syntax again. Here, first of all, we are defining x as 5. That's not big deal. We have already done that. Then we are saying here, if followed by expression, this is called an expression. It's a conditional expression, followed by a colon. Okay, and then we have an indentation before the statement. All right. Similarly, we have x is greater than 20 colon followed by indentation. Indentation means that my block is still going on. Okay. Okay. I could say print. This is inside x greater than 20. All right. So it says that there is something wrong. The something wrong is this. This had a very wrong character. Okay, there is a strange character in the code. I'm going to put it again. All right, I put that in the code again. Now moving ahead. So here you can see that here Right now it printed smaller, correct? If I just put 50 here, this time both of these statements are executed because both of them had same indentation. Therefore, they all are part of the same block. Okay? They are together. After this condition, if this condition is true, all of these statements will be executed. Right? Did it work for you? No? Yes? A very good question. Thank you, Sarvesh. Question is, how big indentation do we want to give? The good part is it doesn't mind even an indentation of 2 characters. Here, let me just try with single character. Okay. So even a single character indentation is okay, provided provided you keep it consistent. Okay, provided you keep it consistent, you can see here this is an unexpected indent. All right, because we have given it a inconsistent indentation. So the thumb rule is, if you are using a single space, use single spaces indentation. If you are using 2 spaces for indentation, use that. If you are using 4 spaces for indentation, use that consistently. Do not do not mix it. Okay. Yes, Omkar. In what cases are you facing that problem? You can put it in that notebook. Okay, you can put it in your notebook, the code. I can tell you the error. Great. All right. Uh, a question is that should how will we do things like this? Okay, let me just show you that. Okay, let's say we want to achieve here one more and okay, let's say here. Okay, if x is greater than 10 and x is less than 20, right? I'll say uh, okay. So you can see it is printing things now. Good. Not comfortable what happened here. I'll just fix that indentation correctly so that all of you could be. Also notice that command square bracket reduce the indentation. Okay, try command square brackets, both of them, and then you will get the idea. All right, a question from Boyang is that, so you don't need any else statement to do this, then what is the advantage of using else? So yes, in this scenario, we don't need the else, but we will need else very soon. Okay, wonderful. All right, so here we go. All right. Question is, how does the syntax for else looks like? Okay. I'll just put saying else and say, uh, okay. All right. A question from Bhargavi is, what's wrong in operator? Okay. So that bracket has to be before A. Okay. So question is, what's wrong with this particular code? All right. A question from Swang is single quote and double quote both are same? Yes, they are. All right. So here, what's wrong with it? Okay, I'll just show you. So here, right, this is probably your code, right? And here, you're saying print this, right? Here, there are two errors. One is this. You don't need brackets as such. If you need brackets, you have to put it outside this expression, like here. Okay. Second question is that you cannot concatenate a string. This is a string, right? Within the double quotes, it's a string, and this is a number, right? So you cannot just like concatenate. To concatenate, you have to convert it into a string. Here, when we are calling something like this, what it means is that str is a function. There is something called a library function, and we are using those library functions like this. It's a function followed by the brackets. Okay, now I think that makes sense to you. All right. All right, please put the spaces or new line as per your choice, because I've put in the code also in that code notebook, as in code share file. All right. Now that was very quick overview of if else, and you can actually chain together multiple if else. Else if is said as elif, elif. Okay, like for example, here in this particular code, let's say we you want to do this. If that's not true, if that failed, then only it'll come here and so on. So in that case, you can say elif. Okay, so you can see elif is else if. Now, if you want to just repeat certain steps multiple number of times, in that case, you can use while. Okay, while. Let's say you want to make a countdown timer starting from 5, then there you can simply write, let's say n equals 5, while n is greater than 0, n equals n minus 1, and print n. Okay, so this is how you do the countdown timer, and at the end you can just type blast off. Okay. Now you can notice that since it has the same indentation as while loop, right? It got executed along with other parts. Okay. So what's going on here? First of all, we assigned 5 to n, then we said while, and then we did the expression here, and then printed the value, then did that, and so on. So if I want to basically run this blast off only once, I will remove the indentation before that. Because if you put this indentation, then it'll be having the same indentation as the other other statements, and therefore it will be considered as part of the while loop. Okay, so that's about it. All right. Yes, Bhargavi, that's how we have to write. We can skip the brackets completely or so. Okay, so yes, we can simply write something like this also. Okay. A question from Sumit is, instead of hard coding values, is there a way to get users input? Yes, of course. You can, you can say, okay, I'll just show you what it means, like this. Okay, you can see whatever I entered has become the value of X. So if you want to take something from the user, you can say X equals input and then enter the name of the prompt that you want to show. All right, try this. Wonderful. Let's move ahead. Wait. So these are called repeated steps. So Python has if-else conditions, it has all kinds of expressions, and then it has the while loop and so on. And you can combine all of them together in order to solve your problems. Okay, solve large-scale problems as well. So input is called like a library function. You can also create such functions by yourself. We'll talk about that very soon. All right. A good question before moving ahead. A question from Sven is that if A is 10, A equals 100, sorry, if bracket A equals 100 and B equals 100, and does it require the bracket? Not really, not really. Okay. Only in the cases of confusion, you would require brackets. Okay. Only in the cases of confusions. You can try it out. All right, wonderful set of questions. Keep the questions coming. That's the only way to learn. All right, no question is bad. Every question is important. And in this whole journey, in this course, we are going to be very focused on the questions, no matter what kind of questions are asked. Okay, so yes, I hope that's okay with everyone because that teaches us how to be patient with each other, and also it when what we have I have learned after teaching so many students so far is that when you answer the questions and when you try to answer somebody's questions, you become more and more you become better and better at answering the questions during interview and during hiring rounds. Okay, that makes it easier. And that's why most of my big data students like Hadoop and Spark have done really well in their careers because the classes are mostly like in a discussion format. People ask questions, I try to answer, or somebody answers in the class, and that's how everybody is on the same page and they learn together. So you also get used to, if you can get used to the questions by others, and that will make you make you think better in terms of answering the questions. Okay, it helps in the career. Okay. Thank you, Manan. I missed out that part. Yeah, it has to be double equals. I was just focusing on the brackets. Yeah. Thank you, Manan. All right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. That try answering each other's question, and you will feel that you are improving. Okay, you will realize that you're improving. Okay, so all of us together, and yeah. Good. Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. Now, here I'll just walk you through. It's a short story about how to count a file. This a word is used to read the data from a user. This one is for reading the name of the file from user. And there is a sentence about updating one of the many counts and so on. All right. So this was very quick chapter one. Okay. A question from Bhargavi is that A equals input and this. Yes, go ahead, please. So here, input is a function that we are calling, and it's basically reading that. A question is how do we input, how do we convert a type into integer? Good question. Good question. For time being, let's just learn a simple part. I'll have to refresh it. Okay. Yes. Most of the syntax is very similar to R or C++. Okay, how do we convert, let's say, here we are asking somebody to enter principal or enter P. Okay, I'll say this. Now I entered 100, right? And when I say P, just like this, I see single quote around it, right? Single quote around it. That seems like it's a string. If you don't believe me, just try adding one to it and it'll say that it must be string, not integer, right? That means it is a that means it's a string. So what I do is I put int bracket like this. Okay, this is how we can convert p into an integer. Just like when we say string, it converts back into a string. You can see. And just to check if p is equal, we use double equal sign. Okay. If we want to check whether, let's say, there is 2 equals 2. Okay. Single equals means assignment. Double equals means comparison. We are comparing 2 with 2. All right. So great. All right. A question is how do you convert the code so that the output is integer? Maybe you can just do this. Okay. So this is now an integer. All right. So this is the easiest way to convert the code so that it converts it into integer in a single shot. Okay. But there are better ways. We'll talk about those better ways very soon. All right. Let's move ahead and get started with the second chapter. Today we learned something very basic but very important. First, we learned how to get started. Then we learned what is a we also did the introductions in the beginning, and then we got started with Python, really basics. Okay, and my suggestion for you is to use the Python course, free Python course on our lab that'll basically make you very confident about the concepts because it makes you do things in the lab. Okay. A question point from Manan is by default, Python takes everything as a string. Not Python, actually, this input function, this is a library function which we are using. This one takes everything as a string. You need to change the data type according to your code. That's right. All right. That's right. Now, moving ahead. Now, where is, okay, let me just take out the other. All right. All right, I'm going to just, all right, let's get started here. So we've already, we're going to continue for 3 more minutes. Okay. All right. And regarding this, I can just, export everything, download as Python. Okay. This is my Python code. Okay. From the notebook, we can, where is the open with TextMate? All right, this is the entire code. Okay, I'm going to delete everything and just saved everything there. All right, that was the entire notebook that we created today. We can also put notebooks in the GitHub repository and use it from there. All right, there are a few questions. Let me answer those. And if time permits, then we'll move ahead. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Now, moving ahead. So a question from Bhargavi is how long are we going to continue? Maybe a couple of minutes. Question from Abdullah is can you update? Okay, done. Question from Sumit is could you please suggest a project end to end, not necessarily related to ML, to understand the business requirement and real time use cases? Okay, can you suggest a project end to end, not necessarily related to ML, to understand the business requirement and real time use cases? Actually, in this course, in Python course, please take a look at something called a project. Okay, it's quite useful and it basically helps you do one very simple thing. It using your own Gmail inbox, you have to find out who is your best friend. Okay, it's a simple thing, and and so on. It's a pretty simple thing, and you can try that. So how do we go about it? You can go to, let's say, CloudxLab. Okay, you go to CloudxLab. Under that, in the my courses, there my courses, you will find these. Right here. Let's say you would be most likely having the Python one. I'll just search for Python one. Yeah, this one. Okay. In that, you will find these are the all topics, and towards the end, this is Linux. Okay. Yeah, the Python one. Okay, there are quite a few questions. Please attend those. And here, towards the end, there is a Python project. Okay, try attempting this. It's quite useful and it goes. All right, try this one. All right, a question from Boyang is that in x equals input, does the code work for everyone? I get nothing back. Okay, I see. I see. Just refresh the notebook. Okay, refresh the notebook because what's happening is when you see the left hand side asterisk, it's probably opening this text box. Okay, opening the text box, maybe it's hidden somewhere like this, something like this. Okay, so try reloading the notebook and it should work. When you see the asterisk, that means it's asking for you, it's running and it's taking the input from you. Okay, a question from John is to have a group session for us to talk. Okay, good point, John. Sure, sure. All right. For any kind of questions and discussions right now, come over to the forum. Please ask there, and maybe yeah, we can also create a group where we can connect with each other. Okay, and I'll let you know about the group. Okay. All right. So use this to ask questions and wonderful. So great, great. Try reloading this, Boyang, and it should work. I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'll message. Great. Wonderful to have all of you in the session, and we are 2 minutes late. And great. All right. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Bye bye. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone. I hope today's session, maybe it is very basic, but it would be useful for at least some. Okay. Okay. Great. Great. All right. All right. Thank you, John. I'm really flattered. Okay. Thank you. Great. Wonderful having you all up in the session. And I look forward to see you in tomorrow at the same time. Yes, go ahead. There is a question from Vishwanath. All right. So sign up with Lab and you can get started with Python and Linux right away. And this will become available on YouTube. Yes. Okay. We'll continue Python course from here itself. Okay. And we'll continue from here and we'll go a little bit more deeper into the course. Okay. At the same time tomorrow. A question from Nihar is that would Slack be best for this? Slack will be best, but I'm not sure if Slack is free for us or not, because this course is free. And all right, okay, all right. Let me figure out that how can we use Slack for this. Okay, okay. Since you have we have your email ID, we'll create the group and I'll you will get the invitation. Okay, great, great. Wonderful. So if you have any questions for now, you can leave that on the group discussion forum here or at Reach Us. Okay. Reach us at CloudxLab. All right. Bye bye. Have a good day. You had a question, Vishnath. Great. Thank you, Nihar. All right. So, yes. Yes, you will get the access to the video. Okay. And the video is anyway going to be on YouTube. All right. Wonderful to have all of you in the session. Feel free to share it with your friends and inform them about the session. Or if you are into blogging, feel free to create a blog where you can write your learnings and so on. All right. Bye bye. Have a good day.